Hey guys, Sadiq here. So this is another video in my series of videos, which is really just focused on the key lessons I've learned from life coaching and how that's helped to develop me. And I hope it's something that you guys can learn from as well. So today, what I'd like to speak about is an exercise that we use a lot in life coaching, and it's called the Wheel of Life. Now, I think it has a few different names as well, but that I think is the most common. Now, essentially, it involves making a visual representation of your goals. So it's basically a circle, and it's a pie chart. It's split into 8 different sections of equal size. Now, within each of those sections, what you do firstly is you will identify one of your priorities in life and write it down in each of the 8 sections. So the most typical ones tend to be work goals, family goals, social, perhaps travel or fitness. So each section will be dedicated to one area of your life that you want to work on, what we identify as your priorities in life. Now, after that, you identify what is your ultimate goal in that area of your life. So you try and think as big as possible. So it might be work, it might be that promotion, or maybe you want to be the head of the business, or if it's your personal life, maybe you want to be married, you want to have a really successful marriage, and so on. So that's the next stage. After that, you identify visually by marking a line across the appropriate section of the pie chart to indicate at what level you are out of 10 in that area. So if your perfect outcome, your ultimate goal is your 10 out of 10, you're going to identify where you are now. So you might be at a 3 or a 6 or a 7. The chances are you're probably not going to be at a 10, otherwise that's probably not a goal that you would have identified. So you've probably got some work to do to get that 10 out of 10. Now, the next stage is to identify what would be the next level out of the 10 out of 10. So if you're on a 6, what would be involved in you getting to a 7? First of all, how will you know you're at a 7? Which is basically the next stage in you getting towards that ultimate goal of 10 out of 10. And then you identify the actions that you need to take in order to get simply, not at this moment for the 10 out of 10, but simply to get to that next level, because that's something that's within sight, it's within your reach. So that's the next thing that you identify in terms of an action point. Now, it's a relatively straightforward exercise, but I think it's really helpful, and I found a number of key insights when I did it for myself. Firstly, just to have that visual representation of all of the priority areas in your life on one sheet of paper where you can just see and look at regularly. I think that's really powerful, because that's basically imprinting things in your mind as to what you think is important. The second, I think, key insight that I had when doing it for myself was, I think most of us tend to focus on sort of 2 or 3 sections out of that normally. We'll have our work, then we'll have our family life, social, and that it's normally like 2 or 3 sections of that tend to take up most of our time. And we may have lots of goals that we want to work on. Maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to learn a language, maybe you want to learn a new skill, or start up a business. But those tend to be sort of all pushed onto the side, thinking, oh, when we have time to do those, then we're going to do those. But it was really helpful for me to actually see all those 8 sections all equally sized on that pie chart. So I was able to actually focus a lot more on things that I've wanted to do for a long time, for more travel, learning a language, learning new skills, and I was able to actually dedicate whole sections to some of those and then identify specific actions within each one of those, and that really made me a lot more focused. Another thing I realized as well is that all of the sections were the same size, and therefore I realized that all of those were equally important to define who I am. It's not as if like certain things like travel or learning a language for me were less important. They were as important in the other areas, and it's important that I focus on each of those areas to help to shape the person that I am. So that I found was really helpful. Now, this is exercise we often use in life coaching before embarking on the actual process of coaching and identifying how you're going to achieve your goals, because lots of people don't actually realize what it is they want to achieve. So it's useful exercising in identifying what your goals are and what it is you want to achieve, say, within the next 6 to 12 months. And we often use it at the beginning of a life coaching session, and then in the subsequent session you may be working on some of those goals to help you move forward. I do think it's an important exercise. It's worth certainly taking about 20 to 30 minutes doing this for yourself, identifying what's important to you. And the other thing is it's important to revisit it regularly as well. So perhaps when you're making New Year's resolutions, rather than doing it in the form of a list or in your mind, perhaps try this, put it in the form of a pie chart, see everything visually, and hopefully that will then send messages to your subconscious mind that these are things that are important to you, and your subconscious mind will in turn help you to achieve those by making you more aware of things that might help you along that process. I think another thing I think it's really important is to revisit it regularly, and when you do make those little successes and you move forward, do reward yourself in whatever way you think is appropriate, just to congratulate yourself on actually moving forward. So it's something that I found really helpful, and looking back at the wheel that I prepared about 12 months ago, I'm glad to say that I actually made progress in all of those areas. It's really helped me to identify very clear goals for myself, which I've then been able to work on and really focus on and zone in on, and I hope it's going to be useful for you as well. So guys, hope you found that video helpful. If you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and please do share with anybody else you think might find it helpful. I'd love to have your comments as well. How do you find goal setting? Do you struggle to meet your goals? What challenges do you find? Also, what techniques do you find are successful? And I will be preparing more videos of this nature, so if you found this helpful, then please do subscribe to the channel as well, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.